One close to that, courtesy meeting, but reading it from a different perspective also. So.
And you're live.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, the personnel meeting on the 26th of June at 5:30. Justice Shipman is the only one that's missing. So we're gonna start going through the personnel manual. Does anybody have anything before we do the personnel manual? Should ask that first. No, okay. We'll interpret the personnel manual, good.
We'll jump in. Well, if we're gonna go through the personnel manual, let's look at this first, please. This is an ordinance that we proposed to go before the Quorum Court to allow us as law enforcement to add additional hours to comp time. Right now, the whole county gets 40 hours comp time that goes into a bank, and everything over that, they start paying out time and a half. That's not conducive for us whenever we send people to a training academy, and whenever they go down there, they're down there all week, and they'll go from like 6 in the morning till 9 or 10 at night, taking all kinds of classes. I'm a big advocate of taking classes, so while they're there, they need to take what they can get. And it adds to comp time. Well, the last couple of years, it has added to the comp time, but it has also cost us as a county to pay them for going to those classes time and a half, because they fill up their 40 hours of comp time, and then everything over that is time and a half. I want to get away, I don't want to do that anymore. What I'd like to do is, with y'all's permission, pass this ordinance. It allows us to accumulate 160 hours on top of the 40 hours, which makes it 200 hours. And us divvy the time out as needed. I mean, make them take the time off whenever they get out of school. If they're down there for 14 weeks and they get back, they should have somewhere around 5 weeks of leave time that they can take. Whenever they get back out of school, we could make them take 2 weeks off right then. After they get through their FTO period, which is another 10 weeks, 8 or 10 weeks, we could ask them to take another week or 2 weeks off. But as the policy is now, I mean, that would be wonderful if we did this, is what I'm saying. But as it is now, they don't get any leave time for the first year that they're there, and they could actually hold on to a week of that for sick time or leave during that year. But they need to burn that 160 hours within the year of earning it. Like we've got a gentleman gonna start school in August, or we hope to send him to school, hope he works out. He'll start school in August, probably won't get out till November. So we need to carry that time over into next year. So will give us a year's time to burn that 160 hours. And I say all that because it's gonna take some doing with these ladies. We're gonna have to have a different bank to keep up with that 160 hours. We're gonna have to blog it like military time or something. That where we know where we're adding to it or taking away from it. We could do it up there and just do it in-house without this, but we really didn't feel comfortable doing that because we need to be forthright with it. I want everybody to be able to see what's going on. And that's what the ordinance basically says.
So they're still getting their time off, but we're not having to pay them time and a half.
That's exactly right. See, comp time, I can assign them to take it off. So as soon as they get out of troops or out of basic school, we can say, all right, you go home and take off for 2 weeks. You know, you've been gone for 13 weeks or 14, go home and stay there. And After that's back, come back and we'll start your FTO period. So that burned 2 weeks of it real quick. And they'd still be drawing the paycheck.
We also don't want to change the 40 hours, the general county policy, so this would be like, it's not that every deputy up there is gonna have a 200-hour bank. It's a 40 with a special circumstance, 160.
Yeah, not
We
every,
don't wanna
that's
change
true.
that, we just wanna use it when it's that kind of situation.
When they go to training.
Where do they go to
A
training?
long
Yeah.
training or something.
Is that something that you could apply for your department though? Because those guys work a lot of,
I don't agree.
is that something that you can apply to your department as a whole though?
Oh, yes, yes.
We
Because
just
there's a
don't
lot of
want,
guys up there that don't go to the academy that still get that and don't get to use their time off because they're so busy.
but
Well,
that just amounts to paying that out, and we're trying to maintain it rather than pay it, like we wanna have them take off, which is hard to do, you're right. But it also, at the end of the year, paying out more than 40 hours is a big hit to the budget. So
See,
we're
we don't
we're
wanna
trying
do
not
that.
to do that.
yeah, we are, I mean, that'd break the county trying to do that.
We'll break our budget.
Yeah, break it out, but
It would be a lot easier in our FI system and everything to do it as a department versus just certain individuals and everything. Because you said something about certain individuals and everything, and he had said something about the department. It would definitely be easier in FI to be able to put that rule in there for having 200 bank of comp for the entire department or for certain, codes.
We would have to, we would have to create a new earning code.
Right, I mean, it'll definitely be a new earning code, but I mean, it would be a lot easier. I mean, they would have to be in that particular one to be able to have.
We just don't want every deputy that gets to over 40 hours to automatically go to that bank. It's only when we say that we want that.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
If they have that earning code in, like any comp time earned, she has to manually go in, like that time sheet and put in comp time earned 4 hours. So with that new earning code in, say law enforcement, training comp time, whatever we decide to call it won't automatically accrue like sick time. So not everybody in the sheriff's department would earn it. It would be manually entered just like regular comp time for the individual.
Gene, I was thinking it would have, like I do military, that it would be at the bottom, it would show the bank, and it would have its own code to where you can see it separately from the regular comp line.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Also, the comptroller's office on this ordinance, it needs to be changed to HR payroll. Because I don't get time sheets, Gina gets time sheets. So that needs to be amended to accurately reflect.
on what I handed out,
I got it, great.
you get what, okay.
Is it just in that one paragraph?
I believe so, yes.
Pretty sure.
So it works like the state. Is that what you're saying, like, Greg?
I mean,
It would work like they do with the state highway department. The inclement weather they have, where the Little Rock will be snowed in, and then everybody else, their state employees stay at home, but everybody else in the state is working. You have inclement working time. That inclement working time has to be used at a certain time. It doesn't go with anything else. It's its own little entity.
little work.
And you've got, and then they say, you have to use it this, and this time. And that's what they say. You have X amount of time to get this used up. If not, you lose it, but you wouldn't. Would you lose
No,
it?
no, you lose it, but we make sure that they have it.
They just have a year to do it.
Right.
And they would have to sign off on that before they go to that, they understand.
So when they go to the academy, are you guys still doing the same thing? You guys pay for it, you have to spend so much time with the county, or you have to pay it back?
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's the law.
Okay.
They better.
Or they have to pay us.
They have, yeah,
Right.
okay, I didn't know if that's still, okay, I didn't
I
know.
believe it's still linked, they started.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good state.
So they have to say that, that's too much. So they move the pool show, so then that. I guess.
Either that or the person themselves, because I've known the person themselves. Because the people that they were going to said, we don't want to do it.
I want them to hold off, I'd rather, especially if they're short, let's just wait until we get to that point. I don't think.
Well, no, I don't want to take that out, but I don't want them to use Marion County as a way to
I agree.
Did you say it's for any school?
education and whatever.
Not just any.
Well, yeah, it could be for any school, but the basic school is the 14 with 13 or 14 with. Well, that's where it would mainly apply to that. You know, the school that Silas went to last year that was 6 weeks long, you know, he had some overtime, and we could have used that and applied it. He said, all right, say, Silas, you're gonna take this off now. We could have, but it wasn't in place. So they just.
Worked so long as a decade.
So if this is in there, you know, we can manipulate it around, and we're still within that, you know, law enforcement has a 480-hour comp time rule for the federal government anyway. You know, if it's anything over that, you gotta pay it out regardless. See, we're still way below that, so we can manage it.
So we don't want to tie it to academy. We just kind of like if we leave it broader, they can use their own discretion. Did I ask any questions on this? Sandy, do you have any questions?
No, Sandy, do you have any question on that first, the thing I want to amend? So the first paragraph after, like in Article 1, it's amending, it says in the current manual, that 171 hours is when they go to comp time after a 28-day pay period, but we spoke with, AAC actually, and the rule is we're at 14-day pay period, so it's 86 hours, so that's a correction. But also these would carry over into the new manual, what we're trying to do. Whatever.
Other than just changing from the comptroller's office to HR,
Yeah, I'll fix that.
that's the only change.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just different. It's an addition and an amendment to the old manual, but it also would carry into the new.
Does anybody else have any questions for him? All those
I've
in
not
favor?
heard from Russo though, but, so he's gonna have to still be.
Okay.
Sorry.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Any abstaining? So as long as you make that change, and Russo says this is good to go, you can send this to Quorum Court.
Russo shouldn't have a problem with it because we're still under that 480-hour cap. If we can maintain it, so there shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. All right. Starting at the top. Introduction and purpose. We're just adding our common name.
Y'all care about it? I'm on the week seven.
I think I know it's supper too, but yeah, I guess.
Well, my tummy was growling.
Your excuse.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other changes or additions to that introduction and purpose? Okay. County policy directives. Any changes, additions? I don't have anything in that section.
guys are like official change. How do you kind of use, because I bet your name's on. Like what?
Well, she's under county policy and directives, that supervisor and stuff is under county employment
Yes, it makes-
policies.
Oh. I'm sorry.
It's under B and C.
I have a paper copy if you're having technical difficulties.
Is it connected to the
It is now.
internet?
I'm just trying to find it. It's, you know, from this out, right?
I wanna do that.
Okay, hold on.
Where's the one here about the iPads?
We have put very little extra money for Apple.
I think we just got some stuff yesterday. We got resent out yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
You did not get.
What's that next thing?
The last thing in here is from
Which,
like
what
last
number are
week.
you? 3, 4?
Showed up on the.
Carry on, here. Oh, continue.
I'm trying to do, send you saying right now. I just sent it to you. Nothing under the county policy reference. Moving on. County employment policies. Under B, I should say any county employee or supervisor. And the same thing under C, on the double I. Any county employee or supervisor. Looks like, before we get to K, down at the bottom of J, there needs to be a credit card policy statement added.
I just took this from the old
Yeah,
policy.
that was brought over from the old policy, because the new policy didn't have anything stating with our credit cards. And I didn't re-letter anything in case it didn't get approved.
Okay.
But it will need a letter, obviously, but this is brought from the old policy.
It might be for any reimbursement, correct?
I'm sorry.
Would it cover like any reimbursement? for-
Yeah, so say it's saying that, you know, you have to be authorized to use it, and if you're not authorized, you're responsible for paying it back. But you will get reimbursed to use it, you know, don't lose the card, et cetera, et cetera. Pretty much you're responsible for it, and the county will reimburse you for what.
And for our guys, I find they get confused as far as, you know, they have to have the receipt, obviously, but
Yeah, receipt is
itemized
usually-
receipt for
yeah.
food is a thing. Like, half the time they won't get an itemized receipt, we gotta ask for one.
Yeah, if you lose it, sorry, I'm thinking of.
And this is under J.
It's gonna be, it'll be a new one.
It'll be a new letter, well, it'll actually be K, and K will probably become L.
Yeah, if you lose the receipt, you're responsible for reimbursing the county. If it's not authorized, you're also responsible, pretty much, if it's not. Just don't abuse it.
That's in the old, are you
It is
saying
in
that's
the
in the old one?
The credit card policy is in the old manual,
Yes.
on page 4.
You just have to spell out obvious things.
Yes. Is it clear how it's stated in there in 4, or does that need to be changed, I guess, that'd be.
I think it's pretty straightforward, you know, it's saying, disallowed charges.
Do you wanna read mine? I have a copy of it.
I have one too.
It's cut and paste from the old
Yes,
policy,
cut and paste from-
nothing new and changed.
Okay. And then, yeah, technology and resource policy will now be L. Any additions or corrections on anything else that y'all are seeing so far? Hiring, promotions, demotions, transfers, and termination. Under the hiring, it looks like we want to eliminate the positions cannot be advertised as vacancies, nor may persons be hired into positions until positions are authorized by the Quorum Court. Eliminating that sentence.
Yeah, the only time we've ever had authorization like that is when we had a hiring freeze. We're not on a hiring freeze right now. The elected officials, you know, hire and fire as they, you know, please, as needed. So that's why we wanted to eliminate that sentence, because like I said, we're not on a hiring freeze. And that's the only time we've ever needed authorization from QC to bring in a new person.
So you wanna take that out?
Yes. Because like, for instance, the sheriff's department, they would have to wait a month or so to bring in a detention officer, and they're in desperate need, so.
Well, and I can remember when we had a hiring freeze and there needed to be positions and Quorum Court did authorize that.
Get the jury or do the county.
There was a hiring freeze through the whole county.
It was during COVID.
It was during COVID.
And then adding a job posting policy, was that taken from the old
Oh,
manual?
so that next huge section of highlight, that's all old policy bringing forward. That's where we have to post it to county employees first before we post it to the public. That's just all old verbiage coming forward.
So are we changing numbering, lettering?
No, it's still all under A.
Okay.
Oh, the only thing we actually did add that was not from the old policy is that, the employee is not allowed to work until they are through with paperwork with Gina. That is a big no-no violation. And believe it or not, it has tried to happen before, so we want to put in a policy so we make sure that it does not happen.
What is the current, on D, on rehiring, within 180 days? Did it not go to 90?
We talked about changing it to 90.
I thought that's what the latest ordinance went back to,
Where is that?
That's under D.
We're down further.
sorry.
No.
Is it listed under the job posting? Is it under filling the job opening that all the paperwork has to be done?
Sorry, say that again?
Where is that?
Oh, so at the bottom,
Where everything's yellow is the last
is the
sentence.
last sentence of that big yellow on page 8.
Okay. Employees shall not be allowed to work until onboarding with HR payroll administration, straighter list. Yes.
Which page in the old is it?
That's beyond me. I don't have the old in front of me.
I do. The old is not in.
It's not in the same order as what the other one is. I know.
No,
I've
it's
been
not.
flipping back and forth, so.
Yeah,
Page 11, it looks like, employment
yeah, I think I
application.
was just about to get there.
The only thing, and I don't know if this needs to be in this policy manual, this is a question to discuss, is doing that pay grade schedule. Doing a pay grade schedule for the county.
What does that mean? I thought we had a pay grade schedule.
That pay grade is what she's talking
Oh,
about.
you're talking, okay. Pay grade.
The pay
I
grade.
get it.
Right now, every elected official hires whoever they want at whatever wage they want. There's no consistency throughout the county. Which we just discussed it a little bit at budget on Tuesday, because the library wants to change the title and change going from salary to hourly, but didn't state that it was an hourly, it didn't state that it was a max payout. It just had a fee, it just had a dollar amount and that's it. So it didn't go forward because they said that was the top tier payout, but there was no range as far as that goes.
So what you're saying is there, should there be a section for that before we get to the reduction or removal of pay or position implemented in the new, even though we don't have one established yet? And I think that there needs to be one established. There's never been one established. It needs to be established, and that's a big battle. But onward and upward we go, and it needs to be done.
I think it needs to be established before it's put in here, because if not, then when you read it,
Right,
if you're a new person coming in and you read the
Right.
manual, then you're gonna be like, oh, hey, I'm on this pay
it does.
schedule, so that
And
would be false at the moment.
it is,
So,
Right.
Can't add that till after budget time, where it's discussed.
I think you should be able to add that in, to the manual.
we're not adding positions, we're just saying anybody new coming forward, you know. In my mind, I see it as a, you know, as a box system, and it's like, if you have so many years of education, you go up, and then so many years of experience, you go down, and like where those two meet, like it kind of, it funnels
Well,
it.
doesn't A classify that? The job title, classification, and annual pay rate shall be specified for each position of a county department or county office in the annual budget. I mean, a new hire will see that, could be an exhibit A or exhibit B. This is your
Yes.
pay grade.
And I think of, and I'm gonna use Susie because she's here as an example, I mean, she's been here, how many years? Long time.
25, 28, something.
So she's fixing to retire, so her salary is X, Y, Z, and someone new that's coming in that doesn't have 25 years of experience is not gonna be paid.
No, and I understand that. I understand that, but what I'm saying is you're wanting to put something in this, but I believe that it's already there. Because we have job titles, but we don't have a classification.
You know that.
Do we have what?
Do we have classifications?
Diane shaking her head no.
No.
So that thing that we're talking about, that would have classifications in it, would it not?
Sure, but that you can call it whatever you want.
So it's kind of already in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a start, and then like what the top out would be,
Just showing that you start, you'll be in this range.
right. This is the beginning, depending on your experience, and this is the max type thing.
You're a grade A, or a grade B, or a
Right.
grade 6, or a grade
Depending on
A.
your qualifications, your education, your
Right.
experience, like all of that has to go through.
Does that need to be put in?
I don't think you need it in until you actually have one. Gina, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
That's okay. In my experience, I've had it a couple of different ways. I've had job titles that go into different classifications. You're gonna have your pay ranges in there and what those are. You're gonna have your top out, you're gonna have your low end for each job description. You can, like you were saying earlier, if I have a master's degree, I'm gonna go right up here to the top portion of that top out and everything. If I don't have any experience or anything like that, it's gonna start out down here and everything. So, I guess my question to you on this, as far as the job, the handbook, because like Tina was saying, it does say that things are classified and everything in here. What exactly are you wanting to put in here? I've been places where everything is public, and I'm finding government, everything is public and everything too. So are you going to have a scale out here for an admin, whether, no matter what kind of admin it is going to be in this classification, in this pay range, and have all of that listed on there so that people know what they need to be able to work towards and able to go into that classification or into that job? Is it gonna have the requirements for all of that and everything as well?
I see this as probably the biggest sticking point of what we're gonna do.
It
It goes
is.
back to like Colton, your proposal, where you went through and did all the work, but listing different things. And the judge said, that it couldn't fly. But I see what you're saying, but we could spend a bunch of meetings just on that one point.
Mhm, because
I'd say what we do is see what the really big bullet points are. We'll go back to those, and then we'll keep going through for the I hate to use the word minor stuff.
Yeah.
But then we go back and address it.
Yeah,
My
because
primary,
that one is gonna be a huge
Do we have to
From
put
my
it in?
experience.
Well, that was my initial question. A, does it need to be in here? I don't think it needs to
Not
be a
necessarily.
20-page detailed
Not
thing,
necessarily.
but-
I personally wouldn't put it in here because this is a legal document.
Right.
Okay? And when you have this in here as a legal document, and you go in here and you put all these pay ranges and all that kind of stuff in there, and you get somebody that you're wanting to bring in and everything, and, but it's gonna take an extra 20 cents to get that person. I'm just throwing things out there. You're not gonna be able to do it because you're stuck, you know, so.
I mean, it opens the county up to lawsuits
You
too,
bet.
in a quick, fast and hurry way if it's through in there because
That's correct. I mean, you want to keep these as little as possible. I mean, you want them to cover everything. You want them to protect you. You want them to protect your employee and everything. Like you said, you've got to keep them pretty cut and dry and everything so that it saves you in the long
So yes, we do need to have one if there's not.
run. Right.
We're gonna get to page 21 pretty quickly. Before we're waiting.
Overtime.
Okay.
You gotta go take care of it.
Is the street gonna get disrupted?
Okay. Removal, reduction or removal of pay or position. Is there a B? Or B,
Page 10B, the bottom.
I don't have anything.
Unless y'all have changed, because I think it's under hiring, promotion, and demotion on B.
Page 8, D is reduction or removal of pay or position.
I think y'all's pages are different.
Yeah, probably.
Why does termination need to be taken out?
Oh, because it's, so when, C, it says termination is deemed as suspension without pay. No, termination is termination. You're not suspended until said otherwise, as per judgment. When you're terminated, you're terminated. You're not suspended until deemed otherwise. You're just
I mean, they're few and far in between when I've had to do investigations and stuff. I've put people either on unpaid leave or paid leave while we're doing an investigation, depending on what it is. And then we would come to a determination and they would continue employment. But you don't want to put this in there. It's just-
that's subject to.
So you want to strike out C.
Yeah, I don't see determination. Termination is termination.
I don't know if you have it in there, John,
So is that a thing or D?
D, rehire employees.
I'm not familiar with that, but
The current policy in 2023, they had an ordinance that said the new is effective upon passage of the ordinance. Employees rehired after more than a 60-day separation from employment shall be treated as new employees. If they left for medical reason, then it's a 6 month. That's what they changed it to in, I think it was February.
is that a thing though to be, to leave for whatever reason and then just come back and get stuff?
I have no idea.
It is for us.
It's happened. Very rare. Very, very rare.
You think if you leave, there's consequence for leaving, you don't get that back.
Typically, stuff is paid out, so they don't come back with anything, but it's happened, you have to license it twice. to my knowledge.
That hasn't happened in my experience.
Yeah, it's very rare, but it does happen. If we don't want to do the 180, she said it was 60, I think, in the old policy. Apparently, I don't.
What page was that on?
Jackie, what page was that on?
The
old policy?
The new one?
The old
The
one.
old policy.
I looked at the ordinance.
Oh,
I don't know where it is. I'm looking at the ordinance itself. I couldn't find it. I kind of jotted through it.
Is that a law that you have to do that?
No.
I would think if you
I
leave
mean,
for whatever reason.
we always had it left up to, I mean, we had to get it approved, you know, from our president and stuff, or whoever, you know, judge, whoever on that case, but, I mean, we had to get it approved if we wanted to bring somebody back and let them reinstate with vacation and that kind of stuff that they had. We didn't have anything in there like this at all, it was just a case by case thing, and it happened every once in a while.
Because if you get fired, more than likely.
Well, fire is not going to
No,
happen.
fire.
It's if somebody, say somebody moves away and things didn't work out, or they left, they quit because they needed to go take care of a sick parent or something like that. And then they ended up dying, they got back within 4 months or whatever, and they came back to see if they could go back to work.
They get all of their
And-
privileges back if they left.
Some people will give it, if it's a really good employee, some people will go ahead and give them all that back. If they were an employee for 15 years, they gave it back to them. But again, it doesn't happen very often, but I have had it happen a couple of times. Couple of times.
I think I've seen it happen here twice.
that's 60 days, it says, and when was that ordinance?
This ordinance is 2023-8, and it's correcting the old. And it looks like it read before that if an employee is rehired after separation from employment, there was no date, they should be treated as new employees. In the new one, they changed it to 60 days. And then if it was for medical reason, it was 90 days, but the new one says medical reason is 6 months. So they increased the sick and didn't make it just anybody could come back and see. They make it the 60 days.
I didn't see it either. I didn't see it in the old one either. It was
Yeah,
from
I
2024, and
yeah.
like, I don't see even anything in
And
there.
it might not have been in that one, because this is the one that AAC
Yeah, this is
sent.
AAC.
So we went by what AAC had on.
Yeah,
there, so-
she's saying the ordinance is from 2023, our old manual was updated in 24. It's not in there at all.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, that's how something about that.
It says amend section 6, hiring and promoting of the Marion County personnel policy. So Marion County, it says that's in the 2018-4, Marion County personnel, so it says section 6.
Okay, here it is. Effective upon passage of this employee's rehired after more than 90-day separation from employment, or employees who are rehired upon returning for medical reason, personal or family, for less than 6 months shall be treated as new employees. Years of service are cumulative if there is less than the above stated gap in service. That's on page 7 of the old.
I was looking for a highlighted here, like a bold underlined print of it. But that says 90 days, but that, Jackie, you're saying that says 60 days.
It might have been. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that was the last, it may not have got updated.
It
That's what the ordinance, I remember that happening right after we took office. And I think that the judge might have had like some road department
Yeah.
situation there.
Uh-huh. Okay,
I
yeah.
think that's what prompted it.
Yes.
So so it's 90 days, but we're wanting to change it to 180, or we
One
want to
eighty
leave
is
it
what
at 90?
AAC recommended, but if we want to stick with our policy of 90, then that means more power to us.
I don't have a problem with the medical leave reason. But if you're leaving just because you're mad and then you decide, oh, well, I really like it and I've got to come back, I think you should be a new hire. You shouldn't.
I agree. Yeah, you just don't want whoever the elected official is at that time, so you wait, you're like, oh, hey, that one got voted out, I'm gonna go back to work there.
Yeah.
Treat as a new employee, that's very.
Where's easy?
Or,
No, sick, it
I
would still be
mean, you have deputies that have left
60
because
total, or we want to do a different one for
and
that?
then come back. Because, well, now Marion County got raises, so I want to come back. I don't think we should be
No,
reinstated.
I think that, and I just think there should be a time frame.
Yeah.
You know, if you left for 2 years, you're brand new again.
6
My
months,
Cyrus did that. We started out
6 months ago,
Um,
right?
I don't have a problem with medical at
I
all.
don't know what it
For
was.
family,
I don't have
family
anyone
reasons.
right now, so-
Jackie, what you read on that ordinance? The one that's
6 months if it's
I
medical.
sent it to Sandy. It did not get changed in the handbook, but it was approved.
What it reads
Now,
out
did it
again?
say 6 months for medical?
It did.
Yes.
Medical reasons, personal or family for less than 6 months shall be treated as a new employee.
Right.
It was 60 days for, to just come
Was it
back.
60 or 90 days?
It says 90 in here, but the ordinance, sheet ordinance says 60.
And it was corrected from that.
Okay.
So we're gonna change it to 60 days if they leave. And we'll still leave it at the 6 months, which should
Actually,
give
it
us.
corrected a no date at all to 60 days. And then the 90 went to one.
So basically, an employee can leave, quit, and then in 60 days decide they want to come back and.
Well, we have to agree to hire them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they want them back and they rehire them, I think this, the judge wanted it to be 60 days.
I'm all for that.
And then I did strike out sick leave because the further we go in, the judge spoke with other counties, and after you're here for a certain year, we'll get to it eventually, but after you're here for a certain amount of years, you actually, other counties are paying out X amount of your sick time. So that's why I crossed out sick time. You'll see that eventually.
So we're extending the sick leave on this.
Yes, you'll get paid out sick leave depending on how long you've been here, and that's in here, in a different
So
section.
it's like rewarding you for being
Yeah,
it's rewarding you for being consistently.
So are we gonna add the medical portion to this?
It's in here eventually.
Oh, okay.
That's on the left.
All right, so the next one is background investigations, which is also letter D, which should be letter E.
Although you're taking C out.
Oh, that's true, we're taking C out, so.
So C is rehired and D
So
should be.
D is, yeah, D is the or C is the rehired, D would be the background check.
Oh, that was
That was very easy. See, that's why there's so many people there, because y'all touched it.
Gina, do y'all do background checks on everybody? We have to.
I see.
So and I know the library did as well. We used to, like, I know if I got one when I applied, I don't know if I don't do a background check.
Well,
If
it's
somebody's-
I think it's the elected official, honestly.
I don't
I'm
get
just
any
using
info.
that as an example.
I agree 100%.
My office is right down the hall. I can't do a background check, but I can definitely do a, record search, and you can see if they've been in my court. As a matter of fact, one of our employees, who's a very good employee, was in my court, paid, well, 2 employees who were in my court, and they paid and they remained good employees.
My personal opinion, I worked in a church for a really long time where they wanted us to do background checks on everybody. We had a lot of teachers who were volunteers. But how many teachers get background checks and you see them on sex offenders? I don't have a huge trust in background. True.
But as it stands right now, no, I do not. I'm not giving any information about any new hires till they're already hired, and I'm doing a onboarding.
This is maybe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it does say maybe,
That's
but there
correct.
will be. So it's up to the elected officials to determine that.
Correct.
I guess if they are suspicious or don't. Okay, E, drug-free, alcohol-free workplace policy.
We do drug screen.
They do some
They-
of the,
They do the road shop.
road shop.
Road shop, transfer station, and maintenance. Quarterly, they get randomly selected from each. So actually, maintenance is lumped in with, I believe, road shop. But from the transfer station and from the road shop quarterly, they get randomly selected by our drug testing people, and they have to submit a random one. But if there's an accident or anything, they have to submit one, on scene.
My boss will do a random drug test if she thinks it's
Necessary.
warranted.
Looks like we need to add, as I'm assuming the state county full policy, the tobacco use in county, should be facilities, not faculties.
I wonder if that was what how it's working. I am pretty sure I copied and pasted from the old.
So that would be letter D.
Oh my goodness.
Are we, where, is it in the old policy?
Yeah.
In the old
I
policy.
wonder if it's, if not, it's totally my bad. But I'm pretty sure I copied and pasted it.
Do you know what page?
No. I don't have an old one. I could have paid reference, but no. Third one page is worth.
Page 15. It's number 17 on page 15. So that's annual.
So we're putting that after the testing?
After the testing, yes, so that'll be letter D. Do you have an ordinance number in there for the different?
For the what?
It says there will be no smoking or use of tobacco products in facilities owned by Marion County pursuant to the most recent Marion County ordinance. Do we have listed ordinance number in there, or we okay?
I don't even know what the ordinance
Is that an ordinance or is that a, federal?
See, I copied it from the old, policies, from our old policy, so I don't know if there was an ordinance at one point. I mean, we can scratch from, the most recent ordinance and just, put the facilities owned by Marion County and scratch the rest of that sentence.
Doesn't matter if it's a long or not.
Let's scratch that. Okay, one.
Prescription drugs over the counter and medical marijuana, that will become letter E. Again, this is a question. With the increased use of medical marijuana that I know Arkansas has, do we do any drug testing for that? That's a question.
They have their medical marijuana card. I could be wrong, somebody in HR can correct me, but I know with my company, if you have your medical marijuana card and you test positive, you have to show proof that you have it.
Yes.
You have to show proof that you have your card, and then that's the end of it.
See, I don't feel like, I don't know, but I don't feel like anybody in our department can because of the nature of what we do.
Probably not yours.
Can't be a gun toter.
Yeah.
Or Jason.
Yeah, Board of
Yeah.
Department, running big machine.
I know in mine, we had an issue with the with my judge. Judge had an issue with one of her clerks. And, it wasn't in Marion County, it was just, well, not in my office,
Okay.
let's just say that. It was brought to her attention because they did do random drug tests. And she had to approve whether she wanted them hired or not. So I think there should be, I know that they can't discriminate against it because they have a card. So,
Correct, but
Well, it
we
does-
are a drug-free workplace.
And it
That's
does,
the difference too, when you're gonna look at it in
It's
the.
a fine
in the-
line, I get that.
Exactly.
and it does say in here, who holds a safety sensitive position is not permitted to engage in the medical marijuana while employed in the safety, sensitive position. So it says in here that they, you know, if they test positive, they can be removed from their position even if they test positive because they're in a safety, sensitive position. It's stated in here, and now what you determine safety.
I was gonna say, what's considered a safety sensitive employee? I mean, I could see like if you're driving a dump truck or a road
Yeah,
grader or something,
but
you're
I
law
mean,
enforcement.
if
law
we're
enforcement.
off and
But if you're
found,
If I'm in there working on my computer, it shouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean,
I mean,
you know,
that's how
but I
we
think
think.
that probably would be up to the elected official to determine.
yes, I agree.
So does that need to be stated in here at all, or is that, yeah, you have to cover your bases and
Right,
lay everything all out, like,
Does it say anywhere in here about like who's considered a safety sensitive employee?
it does in other sections, like with the weather and things like that.
Oh,
She said, don't be too specific.
Mhm. I mean, I would, me personally, I would just put it in there that it's up to the elected official.
I was just gonna say, maybe you just need to
That's that,
say like,
Magnet?
the elected official, it's up to the elected official's discretion.
That is correct, that's what I would.
Yeah, cause I mean, I could see if you were law enforcement and somebody tested positive for a road, but
Right.
Well, I mean, Ed kind of.
if the treasurer,
That does kind
because
of
she's
do the
here,
whole
right, if her, or if somebody in her office tests positive for marijuana and the books are still all good,
Right,
what's the harm?
Right. right.
Okay,
So I think it should be up to the elected official of that department.
Yeah, I agree.
so F, which is gonna actually be G, because we've really numbered everything. It says safety sensitive position, we're kind of skipping ahead there, but
F would cover what is.
F would cover what's a safety sensitive, but I still think we need to just have a, on the bottom of board, E, just saying something about the elected official as,
If a,
Yes.
if a positive drug test comes back, it is,
Substances,
Those say included, but not
yeah,
included in all of it.
yeah,
in the prescription drugs over the counter medical marijuana.
yeah, in F, I think F, like Jackie said, number 3 says, work with confidential information or criminal investigations. Well, a lot of government things that you're working with is confidential.
Jars, confidential.
Yeah. So I think you're pretty covered there.
That's pretty much anybody in there,
yeah,
to an
it's
extent.
comptroller. Even
Comptroller
the
has
treasurer, cause she's got
confidential.
all the money.
Yeah, you have all the
Yeah.
money, you have checks.
I think we're covered there.
Yeah,
That's pretty much government as a whole, honestly.
So it says, well, I'm on the, I have the hard copy one, not the one that Gina printed out, or Cheyenne printed out, sorry. Under J, it says random testing of safety sensitive employees. Employees in a safety sensitive position will be subject to random unannounced testing. The computerized program shall determine the individual safety sensitive employees to be randomly tested. So it says it right there, I guess.
Yes, and we do that quarterly.
For everybody,
No,
so everybody really should be a safety sensitive.
That's not the way this reads though.
In G, it does now, actually, if you,
Yeah.
because everybody has confidential information.
If
Right.
anybody
And they're
works for the
obviously-
county, you're either, carrying a gun, you're driving a road grader, or you're working with sensitive information, and
Yeah, that's valid, and
so that should apply
I'm
to.
thinking sensitive information though could be, I mean, what I think is sensitive, Gina might not think is sensitive,
Right,
or vice versa.
right.
So I think that's
I don't see, where does it say sensitive information?
Number 3.
confidential.
Confidential.
number 3 is confidential information.
And that's kind of subject to change too, because what I think is confidential, Cheyenne might be like, oh, I don't care if everybody in the county knows
I
that.
mean, I can't tell you how many times a week that I tell you, we can really give this information out.
Yeah,
You
because,
know,
I mean, I agree
Because,
with that.
like, I was sending Jackie a report the other day, and she goes, everybody's salaries are public. I'm like, I just never imagined ever.
Can we back up just for 1 second?
Yes, let's go back to the prescription drugs over the counter,
Oh, okay.
medical marijuana.
Sorry.
No, we started down that rabbit hole of finding more things further on down. So do we need to have a sentence at the bottom of that that says it's the elected officials' discretion to do a random drug test?
Can we legally drug test at random though, without discrimination?
Not unless the whole county, not unless you,
You,
Random drug
can you
test
single
everyone.
out one person legally?
You're not supposed to, I
you
mean,
can't with
But
that
if there's
company.
suspicious
had-
activity and
I've
someone
had-
thinks that they.
Yeah.
I think you have to
It's-
smell it or see it on them to legally, I didn't put it
No,
on. so-
no, it's okay. And I mean, because every place is different too. I mean, because in the state of Colorado, I had a front desk person that we knew was drinking, okay? But since we didn't random everybody, lawyer said, do not do it. Get him home, call him an Uber, because we don't want to be responsible if he's driving or anything like that. I could not test him. You know,
And I
but all
think that's-
states are different.
I think
so.
that's the case here too, like, because not every county employee is subject to a random drug test. I
And
think
maybe
it-
that's what we just need to add, a sentence in there, every employee is subject to a random drug test.
that's going to cost the county more money. The drug test
Yeah,
is
but,
cheaper, though.
I mean,
If they're randomly,
if they're randomly selected,
like we're doing now with the.
You don't do it randomly over a period of time and then 5 months you single out who the person is that you think.
I mean, it's catchy,
It's probably a Russo question.
yeah,
He's gonna have to review all this anyway.
yeah, 'cause
So where do we think it needs to go?
I'd say at the end of it. In paragraph, we could change it.
Okay, we're under
Where-
E. Is where we're at.
So after this applies, even if the employee has the identification card.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that could save us on that is because we're, is it at will or whatever, adding that word, that's- But I feel like if you, I'll just put on the trigger because she's, I feel like if, I feel like if she got drug tested or whatever and tested positive for marijuana that had her marijuana card, and then all of a sudden they're like, see you later, I feel like that could open you up to a lawsuit.
We are trying to implement a tobacco-free, drug-free environment too,
Right.
Put it in there, what we should do.
Put it in family.
Or after, this applies even if employment, employee is qualified person under the amended minimum.
Okay, so on the next page, which follows still E, it says employees are subject to discipline up to and including termination for the following acts related to medical marijuana: possession, ingestion, smoking, or otherwise using marijuana while on duty or on the premises of the county regardless of duty status, or two, being under the influence of marijuana while on duty or on the premises of the county regardless of duty status. It says they just, doesn't it?
No, because you can possess it but not be under the influence.
Okay, possession, ingestion, smoking.
Meaning, if you got a medical marijuana card, you need to leave your medical marijuana at your house.
Don't be doing it on the clock, don't do it on your lunch break.
Right.
Don't come in under the.
Yeah, and then don't put in smell like they don't do it.
And see, that's the thing, what if somebody has their card and they don't use it at work, but they have, I don't know, terrible back pain or something, I don't know, whatever, leg pain at night, and they eat a gummy at night, but then they accidentally get random drug tests the next day, well, they're gonna not fail. Yeah, because it's still gonna be in their system.
Yeah,
So legally, they've followed the steps, they weren't using it at work,
Right.
they weren't,
Two says being under the influence of it while on duty.
but they
Calling
weren't on
sick.
duty.
well, I think that's why we put in the discretion of the elected official, because I think if you're a good employee and you go talk to your elected official, like, hey, yeah, I did take gummy last night.
I don't know, it's a tricky situation, because there's not cut and dry rules, like, for, in general, so, yeah.
Is that what you said, put that?
When we legalized it in Colorado, we quit this.
And I believe some
And I was in
businesses.
healthcare.
Well, look at F, because down at the bottom of the F, it says, well, it just says something about impairment. I mean, if you're impaired, if you're still higher than high off that gummy, you probably need to stay home that day. Because I don't want my court clerk just this is a scenario, coming in and working with me on a court day, when I've got druggies coming in for court, hi. I don't need that. Stay home. You sit back.
You want to do that stuff.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, I just.
It's just like, there's no cut and dry
I know.
stuff.
So let's put it in as 3 before we go to F, post offer pre-employment testing. Something to the effect of, we'll ask for you to random drug testing at the discretion of the elected official. That's what I would, the department is running. Such department head. And see if that's. Okay. Post offer / pre-employment testing. Which will be actually letter F. We're going to eliminate. Like 4 lines down the county clerk. At the end, it says elected official
It's because it says it's like the county clerk will
by
notify
the elected official.
Yeah.
It's not, and then the county clerk will notify the elected officials.
That doesn't happen, it needs to go right.
G, safety sensitive positions, it'll be the new G, it's listed as F. anything in that. Random testing of safety and safety sensitive employees.
L has reasonable suspicion testing listed. Rather than L.
So. You got the numbering.
No, not really.
Okay.
Yes.
I could tell Cheyenne was writing it down, so I was like, that's too many notes, so it's too much to summarize in a.
That's true, sorry.
That was my thinking. Cheyenne's taking more for the team.
Technically, yeah.
She's got the work done. She's got the.
But that's kind of why I wasn't right. I was like, I'm not gonna recreate this,
Are
so.
all county officials, supervisors, I mean, and the like department heads, that's pretty much all of those. Are they all trained for reasonable suspicion? Reasonable suspicious.
We could put that on the training. We have a
I was
training
gonna say,
program.
'cause we have it in the training program, so.
We have a training program.
It is.
And
Yeah, I mean, we already have it, I mean, I can just assign it, so.
and then they'll be trained up and
I think if they're going to, like, if that's in there, they need to know what to look for.
Right, right.
Yeah, because what some people might think is like, oh, hey, you're under the influence, might be because their blood sugar's too high or too low or whatever. So I
Exactly.
think that would be a really good training for
Yes.
everybody to take.
I can do that.
I like
Disciplinary action records. Okay. Next big one is employee classification, attendance, HR, we're adding HR and compensation. So we're just gonna eliminate the hours. We want to eliminate the hours and just say it's up to the elected official and then department sets.
Yes, so I eliminated the hours, we decided that, and changed it to determined by the elected official, because everybody's different, like the sheriff's department, road shop works weird, at different hours, the transfer station opens at 7, but like, this rail right here, we start at 8. So instead of listing out all those random hours, just determined by the elected official.
Right, because it also changes, I mean, there's starting right now is going in at 6 in the morning.
Oh,
Because
are
of the heat.
Oh, so you're wanting to say are determined by
Are
the,
determined by the
The
elected
elected
official.
official.
Yeah.
Because
Instead of
everyone's is
listing
different.
8
That's
to
a
5,
normal-
nobody works
What
there.
is normal for that thing?
Yeah, that's why we said determined by the elected official, because they determine that normal. And like, for instance, like Gina said, the road shop, they change winter hours, summer hours, because it's just too hot for those guys to, start.
And nobody works 8 to 5 anyway, it's 8 to 4:30.
Exactly, yeah.
And then full-time employees, consider anybody that works over, regularly works 30 hours a week.
Yeah, 30 by, insurance policies. If an employee works 30 or more hours, you're considered full-time. So
So 29 unless it's part-time.
that's,
so you're saying that, full-time employees, where it says 40 hours a week, you're putting 30?
30 hours.
you have to.
Okay, that's fine. I just making sure I
Yeah.
understood.
We have to offer insurance by the rules of the insurance at 30 hours.
So, I think it was my part, something, I think we could put 32, and that's what I was told.
Oh, it's 30.
It's, I thought, the was 32 as well, but
Plus 30,
It's
the
30.
29, the over 29 is considered.
29 is part, 29 and under is part-time, 30 is considered full-time.
But it has to be consistent, so if you have somebody that is a part-time employee and they ended up having to cover some shifts and they ended up working 40, even if they work 45 hours in a week or whatever, if that happens every once in a while, they are not considered full-time. It will not happen often.
So in that next paragraph where it says part-time county employee or for 30 hours, or what should that be? 29 hours? Okay, I just want to make sure I have my numbers right.
It's less than 29, right?
that's the one. Oh, oops, okay, yep, okay, I see it. Fixed it, okay.
And probably the sentence before.
Employee compensation is B under that.
Oh, I see.
We're adding from the old manual, I'm assuming the travel reimbursement.
Yes.
Yes. Under that, so that would be C, would be travel reimbursement. This would be D.
So we're done with A
Done with A, yeah.
and B?
B, there was no changes at all in that. Paid bi-weekly. Covers 2 weeks prior to the week of payment, but not the week of payment.
Okay.
Isn't that B? Sorry to go back.
No, you're good.
But if we adopt this law enforcement, does that not? mean it's
Yeah, there's, so, and that's a whole other thing, it's like, law enforcement is an 86-hour bi-weekly, where we're at 80 hour, we're 40-hour weeks. So that presents a different scenario, they can work up to 86 hours in a 2-week period without ever getting overtime.
Should we add like a little, like,
Subsection.
yeah, subsection for law enforcement right in that area then?
Sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, because in this ordinance, I think that, it was saying the normal work period shall be 40 hours per week. This is how it was worded for all employees except employees engaged in the provision of law enforcement. And that's when I put the normal work week for law enforcement personnel shall be no more than 86 hours in court. So I think they're covering both if you add just that sentence even.
I'll right under B,
Oh, you're just saying add a subtext.
Yes, and for law enforcement, it's just 86 hours.
Immediately.
So instead of the subsection.
Yeah.
Add a sentence.
put that under B in like a subsection.
Well, can you not just add a sentence
Or add
with that in there, or is that gonna mess things up?
I think it goes with what the normal 40-hour is. Wherever that's covered, like up in that top paragraph.
oh, that's in a subsection under F. The normal work week, starting, that's a little ahead. You wanna put it there instead? It's a little ahead. Okay.
Wherever you find it's gonna fit in, I think it's good. We just have to be able to say that they're different from the.
Put it in where. Okay.
I would think,
Cause this is,
if it's compensation, we need to keep all of compensation
yeah, well, it
together.
is.
Otherwise, it's gonna read like a 5-year-old. I mean, that's why.
I mean, in
Yeah, well,
fair
This
labor,
goes around anyway.
in fair labor standards, it clarifies it when you're talking about the normal work.
Okay, so I think it needs to go under,
A, employee classification, could you not?
yeah, so jumping ahead, though, need a new F, subcategory 3. It does talk about the normal work week of 40 hours. I know it's jumping a little ahead, but I think actually that's where it would fit best.
Right, because we already gotta change that Sunday to
What page?
Saturday and Saturday to Friday.
It's on the
A,
new,
C, D, E.
it's under overtime and compensation time.
It's the triple I that we were looking at Jackie a while ago with Saturday and
Friday, change.
Oh, a normal work week shall be read.
I think, yeah, because we're already talking about normal work.
Right.
Yeah, I know, sorry, we're at the usual, but it is jumping on ahead a little bit, but I think it fits a little bit better there.
That's
I don't, wherever you think it should get better, I just think we need to put it in there before about to adopt an ordinance.
All right, I'll make a note to put it in there.
It should be 86. 14. Correct.
So then you
It's
don't
July.
have to change anything.
All I have to change is the 171 to 86.
Yeah,
Or
I'll, yeah,
28,
we'll
whatever,
see that
46.
anyways.
86.
Oh, just
So we have a
86.
14 day period.
Okay. And then the 28-day is what?
14.
14.
So B looks good as it sits, because we're gonna add it to a different section.
So we don't have to add a subsection in B.
No, no.
Sweet.
And then C,
We're gonna, well,
the new C.
the new C will be the travel reimbursements, which is from the old manual on
Yes.
page 17. And then D, employee attendance. And then C, D.
After B, employee compensation, travel, C.
And then we're gonna add
Overtime is E.
the personnel data changes.
That came from the old policy.
No, E.
Are we on overtime now?
No,
No,
we had to add some sections, from the old policy to cover, some HR,
And where?
Right under employee attendance, we're gonna be personnel data changes.
So that'll be E.
yeah,
and then.
Yes.
Whatever. C, D.
I forgot to add like a little dash period, establishing new positions
should be
should
there.
probably add. And that's
Oh,
from
okay.
the old policy as well. Yeah, I thought I caught all of that, I apologize.
So overtime would be F.
No, G,
F is gonna be establishment of new positions, which is from the old manual as well.
What is F?
F is, yeah.
So E is personnel data, and F is section of positions. G would be.
Anything else on that? How's everybody feeling? It's 7:00 already, I think we're in that class. Are we at a stopping point now?
can we please do G?
I would like to do that.
The new G.
Okay,
The new G, yeah, there is actually
The
some,
overtime work and compensatory, sorry, no, time.
Me trying to talk at all.
Okay.
on the triple I,
On the
there's
triple
some,
I.
yes, there's some changes that were just caught.
Yep, I have them on mine. Saturday, instead of Sunday, the working shall begin on Sunday, it should be Saturday.
Yep.
Correct,
And it ends on Friday.
correct.
And
The
then,
normal working schedule will be 40 hours.
Wait, stop. It shall begin on Saturday and end on,
Friday.
Just like it does now.
okay,
and then normal workout week is 40 per week for normal. That was good. Scratch
Except employees engaged in provision of law enforcement, including jailers, or abstaining the ambulance service. We don't have
Yes,
that.
we don't have that.
The normal working period for law enforcement, including jailers, could be 171.
No,
86.
86.
186.
No, just 80.
Just 86.
No, so 86. 86.
It shall be 86 hours.
Shall be
Sorry.
86
In 14 days work.
in 14
That's
days.
what I'm correcting on this order.
Yes.
Does that include 911 as well? Does that, it does not, okay.
They were considered both.
And
Even
then,
though they have 12-hour shifts,
Okay,
it's a mess.
and then the triple I is where we'll add that law enforcement normal work week, from that ordinance as
so
well.
that ordinance,
Yeah.
okay. And, law enforcement ordinance.
I think that's in there. All you have to do is correct 86 and the 14, right?
Hold on, let's look at this. Okay, well, did you want,
unless you wanna add your,
I think this other paragraph on the extra 160 would go down under V.
under V?
No civilian employee shall accrue more than 240 hours of comp time, no public safety.
Okay, and then I'll add that, okay.
See how it says the 480 for law enforcement?
That's where you put your,
I don't know if we just need to reword that whole paragraph.
Well, it says no public safety, employee, law enforcement officer, or jailer should accrue more than, 200, we can change that to 200 of compensation time, and that should fix that line.
Then would y'all be it?
And
This
then,
is talking about the law, like the law is saying that like us, we can't get more than 240. The county may be different than what the law says,
no, we
right?
changed that to 40, to
Oh, that
match
is 40,
ours.
okay,
And then we
So
can
we're
change
looking
the
at
public
B.
safety
yes.
to
so no civilian employee shall
200
accrue
to
more
match
than
you,
40.
and that should fix that all.
Well, unless it's an additional, unless we want to say the additional because it's separate from the 40.
Okay, so 40 with additional 160?
Yeah, that law enforcement, I'd like it to say kind of like on here, law enforcement personnel may accrue an additional 160 hours of compensatory time for special assignments. I think the way it's worded here.
Add that,
put
okay,
in,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So you're saying that no civilian employee shall accrue more than
40.
40.
Okay, and then I'll add the note of the 160 for training.
Yeah, I think we could probably scratch no public safety employee may accrue more than, I think we can just say law
Law
enforcement may
enforcement,
accrue.
okay, all right.
I think the next sentence you just say may accrue an additional 160 hours
Yeah, just like in
due
the
to
word,
training.
yeah, however it's worded here in the ordinances,
Yeah.
it can be just worded.
Okay, cool.
For a total of 200.
Okay, all right, I have that noted. Okay.
Paid, okay, that was added. Paid leaves shall not count toward calculation of overtime unless the employee actually worked a paid leave day.
Yeah, but I think that's from the old policy, like, if we work a holiday and, okay, how do I explain this? So say we worked, 32 hours, but there was 16 hours of holiday, that would obviously go over the 40 hours, but we won't earn any comp time because we didn't actually work 40 straight hours. So we'll get paid out straight time for the actual hours.
And then your
And
holiday.
the holiday, yeah, we won't accrue any comp time, that's what that sentence is saying.
Unless you physically work the 40 hours
Unless you,
on the
hey,
top.
perfect, that's perfect. And then there's an exception, and that came from the old policy too, with like the natural disasters and things like that. So of course, there's always an exception, and I think that's with the elected officials' discretion and such too, so.
This also says fill out timesheets on a weekly basis
Where you see that?
on X.
She's ahead of us.
Ooh, yeah.
We're on,
We were just on XI.
No,
no, we're on VI,
What?
Oh,
we're on V,
yeah,
between V and VI, that was an added, like paid leave.
That is not on
that's not
mine.
ours,
That's not
yeah.
That's not
Ours
ours.
is XI, paid leave days shall not count towards time work. Ours is on XI.
Oh,
It's different.
Oh,
so you can eliminate that.
My page 17 is not there.
Yeah, I like it, okay. Well, let me scratch it right there, because it's on VI. Cool, I like it, all right.
Okay.
And then on V, I'm changing to bi-weekly. Because we don't,
Ours is X, all county
Oh,
elected.
yeah, sorry,
officials
X. We don't do a
time
pay
sheets to be
check or,
filled out. Well,
time sheets on a weekly basis,
It's
bi-weekly.
bi-weekly.
Yeah, that was in here. All right, now we keep.
We're on VI, let's go back up to VI, because there
Yeah.
are changes in that one.
Yes, so, the judge didn't want an average. He was like, no, your final rate of pay is what you're gonna get paid out as when you leave. We're not doing an average. It's what's your final pay. Yeah.
I think the law says average or whatever's highest, which I doubt they'll be lower.
Lower, yeah.
Is,
So it should read, upon termination of employment, an employee who has accrued compensatory time shall be paid for the unused compensatory time, I can't say that word, I apologize, at the employee's final hourly rate,
Current,
period.
current.
Final
fully current.
employee's current hourly rate.
Or it's your final hourly, either one.
current hourly rate. Okay, all right, got that fixed.
anyway, once they're final paycheck, so.
We want to eliminate the VII.
Yeah, because that's saying, like, you're required to use all your other stuff before you can use your sick time. That's not,
That's ridiculous.
that's off the wall.
Yeah, I think they're saying in that comment, that's helping keep comp time liability down, but I agree with y'all.
Okay, V,
Wait a minute, you're wanting to take that out?
yep, just eliminate that.
Yes, because saying you have to use your comp time before you can use your sick time. Like, I'm sorry, but maybe I wanna use my comp time to go on my vacation or go see my mom.
Right.
But I have a doctor's appointment,
Your
no,
sick time for your doctor's appointment.
right?
Right,
Like, I'm not
exactly.
using my comp time to go to my family doctor, so,
And then I can't use my sick time to go see my mom.
yeah.
Just keep it simple and just do like PTO and it's all linked together.
Yes,
Funny,
Wouldn't that
isn't
be a fabulous thing?
It doesn't matter.
God.
VII. That one looked good. There's no changes or
Yeah.
recommendations. IX.
That's making an employee leave and not like,
For the purpose of exhausting their comp time based on the
Yeah.
needs of the department.
saying you can't work, go home, use your comp time.
Oh,
What
yeah.
if somebody really loves their job and just wants to,
We're putting them on, why don't they just say, hey, you need to take a couple days off, why are you putting them on leave?
or like you have to go, maybe suggest it, not make it in writing like you have to go.
So we just want to strike out.
Yes,
Period.
yeah,
Yes.
That's up to the department head to figure that out.
Exactly.
So we're striking
We're striking
IX.
IX.
yes. And then pretty much at, X through, IV, it's saying county clerk. A lot of, counties, HR is under county clerk, but not here. So that's why it's striked out and says HR payroll, is because it actually goes through Gina instead of the clerk.
Yeah.
That's all you're striking, or you're not striking up the whole paragraph?
No,
No.
just the,
Just
county
clerk.
clerk's office, change it to HR/payroll
Yep.
office.
Provided to HR.
And then XI looked like it was good as well.
What is your XI? Ours is about the,
Paid leave
Paid
days.
leave shall not count towards time worked, and it's the one that we
Oh,
were
okay.
gonna add earlier,
you guys
that
had, okay.
Yeah.
it was already listed in here. Cool.
Are we stopping?
Close to page 20.
You made it to 15.
16.
Actually,
Well,
like,
they're
they're
on
only-
the- I think we made a really good headway today about doing this, so. I think we should, we're at a good stopping point, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought this was gonna take us months to roll through this. Not that it was gonna be done easy, I mean, Russo's got to approve it and. Anybody have anything else they wanna discuss?
Now, because the next several pages have a lot of
There's a lot
stuff,
in it, that's why
so-
I'm like, this might be a good stopping point right now, and I'll be honest with you, Brady's getting a little fried right now. Thank you all for coming, we appreciate your insight and your wisdom.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. These edits. What? These edits, you want them as we go? You want them in the end? How do you want these?
What's best for you?
Because I don't think the nominated me.
I'm good, I'm
So,
Secretary nominated the Word doc for it.
I'm trying to make the correction.
however you,
If you can edit it and send it what you have currently.
Okay.
Just like just what we've worked on so far, just so we all have it, a current
Maybe
copy.
how you have it highlighted now, like,
Yeah.
the stuff that we've changed, like,
like,
if it's from yellow to green or
Yeah.
something, I don't know, whatever color code makes sense to you.
Or strike through and then just do highlighting.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever makes sense to you.
If we can get that too, so when we come back on the same day.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion.